Hi, my dear students. Welcome back to another session on your English course, your Plus 2 English course. In this session, we are going to take up this new lesson, a story titled Amigo Brothers by Piri. This is the second lesson of that second block we are doing now. And I'm sure you remember what we did in the last session. Last session we were doing a poem by Robert Frost titled Mending Wall. That poem presents a conflict between the traditional perspective and the modern perspective regarding the need of walls. And in that poem we saw the poet and his neighbor are engaged in repairing the wall. Now let us proceed to this lesson, Amigo Brothers by Piri. The title is Amigo Brothers. What does amigo mean? Amigo is a Spanish word. It means friend. Amigos means friends. Then what do you mean by Amigo Brothers? Are they brothers or just friends? When these two words are used together, it would mean friends who feel like brothers. They are friends, actually they are only friends, but they are so close to each other that they start feeling like brothers. So it's the story of two friends. It is the story of true friendship. It is the story of a 24-carat friendship between two youngsters, two teenage boys. One is Antonio Cruz and the other one Felix Workers. So this story, Amigo Brothers, presents the story of a 24-carat friendship between these two teenagers, Antonio Cruz and Felix Workers. In a way, they set an example for all of us adults. In the poem, Mending Wall, we come across two of them, the poet and his neighbor, building a wall between them. And here we come across two boys, two teenage boys, bridging that gap between them, that gap imposed by the society. So this is how they set an example for all adults. So in spite of the difference in their skin color, one is dark complexion, the other one fair, in spite of that difference in their skin color, they feel more like brothers than just friends. They get so close to each other. They become so thick, close, bosom friends. So that way they set an example for all adults. They teach us how to transcend the limits of man-made barriers. Most often we adults can't do that. So children teach us on how to transcend these limits of man-made barriers. And these two boys set an example for modern day sportsmen as well. These two boys are boxers and they have only one dream in life, that is to become the world champion, lightweight boxing champion in the world. And they're ready to practice hard to achieve this goal in life. But they set an example for all sportsmen. And you know, sports was originally meant for fostering friendship. But is it what we see in the field of sports these days? In modern day sports, you come across a lot of sportsmen going down to meanest of levels just to win a title, just to win a game. You know about doping. That means the use of performance-enhancing drugs. In athletics, they do this. They use such drugs. And in cricket, we read about sledging, match fixing. So these are all the foul practices sportsmen nowadays indulge in. And here we come across two young boxers who set an example for all modern day sportsmen. They show true sportsmanship. they uphold true sportsmanship. So we are going to read that. Before you read that story, I would like you to watch a short clipping from a documentary on the author, Piri Thomas. The documentary is titled The World of Piri Thomas. This documentary is available on YouTube. You could watch it on YouTube. I have taken a short clipping. On watching this short clipping, you could get an idea about the author and the background where he came from. It would certainly help you understand the story better. So you please watch this short clipping from the documentary on the life of Piri Thomas. And once you watch that, we'll be coming back to read the story.
I am a poet. I'm an ex-con. I'm a painter. I'm an ex-drug addict. I'm an ex-gang leader. I am a writer. I am a human being. And in his widely acclaimed book, Down These Mean Streets, Piri Thomas told the story of that multifaceted life. Ask me what is to be my golden fleece, and I will tell you, oh, the brotherhood of man, one world. The almost 900,000 Puerto Ricans in the United States, more than 600,000 live in New York City, in the ghetto called El Barrio, Spanish Harlem. This film is an evocation of one man's survival in and triumph over that ghetto. The words, the thoughts, the experiences relived are his, the peaks and the valleys that have made up the world of Piri Thomas.
Dear children, you have got a rough idea about the author Piri Thomas. You also listened to his words. And he had a very difficult childhood. As a young boy, he faced a lot of hardships. He was subjected to racial discrimination in the name of his skin color. Not only from the society, even within the family, he faced this discrimination. Because he was born to Puerto Rican Cuban parents. His father was Puerto Rican and his mother Cuban. And his brother and sister both had fair skin. And he had inherited his father's dark skin. So this discrimination, along with poverty, led him to the world of crimes at a very early age itself. In his teenage itself, he got into crimes. He got involved with gang warfare. He took to drugs, and he ended up in jail for a robbery case. And he had to spend 7 years in jail. And it was during these 7 years that he underwent a total transformation. He realized his mistakes and he decided to dedicate his life for reforming youngsters like him. And it was during this period that he started writing. And once he came out of prison, he started writing extensively. And his book, his autobiography titled Down These Mean Streets, shot him to fame. He became very famous with the publication of this book. And the rest of his life, he spent giving lectures to youngsters, urging them to keep away from drugs and crimes. So dear children, I have already told this story, Amigo Brothers, is about the true friendship between two youngsters, two teenage young boys named Antonio Cruz and Felix Vargas. So we are going to read this story now, the story of a 24 character friendship between these two boys. So you could watch this story, listen to this story. You could also read it on the screen. And once you read the story, the first part of the story, I'll be coming back with some questions so that we could have a brief discussion on that.
Amigo Brothers by Piri. Antonio Cruz and Felix Vargas were both 17 years old. They were so together in friendship that they felt themselves to be brothers. They had known each other since childhood, growing up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the same building. Antonio was fair, lean, and lanky, while Felix was dark, short, and husky. Antonio's hair was always falling over his eyes, while Felix wore his black hair in a natural afro style. Each youngster had a dream of someday becoming a lightweight champion of the world. Every chance they had, the boys worked out, sometimes at the boys' club and sometimes at the gym. Early morning sunrises would find them running along the East River Drive, wrapped in sweatshirts and short towels around their necks. While some youngsters were into street negatives, Antonio and Felix slept, ate, rapped, and dreamt positive. Between them, they had a collection of fight magazines, plus a scrapbook filled with torn tickets to every boxing match they had ever attended, and some clippings of their own. Now, after a series of elimination bouts, they had been informed that they were to meet each other in the division finals that were scheduled for the 7th of August, 2 weeks away, the winner to represent the boys' club in the Golden Gloves Championship tournament. The two boys continued to run together along the East River Drive. But even when joking with each other, they both sensed a wall rising between them.
Dear children, you have just read the first part of the story. You have read about the true friendship between these two boys, Antonio Cruz and Felix Vargas. You have also read about the differences in their appearance. You have read about the dream they pursued. They both had only one dream in life, that was to become a boxing champion, a world champion in boxing. And let us now discuss a few questions so that we can have a brief discussion. The question number 1 you take, why are they called Amigo Brothers? Why they both are called Amigo Brothers? They are called Amigo Brothers because they both were together in friendship for so long that they have now started feeling like brothers, not just friends. So they got so close to each other. They got such thick friends that they have now started feeling more like brothers than just friends. So they are called Amigo Brothers. They grew up in the same street. They lived in the same building. So they got so close to each other. Now, question number 2, you take compare and contrast the appearance of these two boys. Compare and contrast the appearance of Antonio and Felix. Antonio and Felix were poles apart in their appearance. Antonio was fair, lean and lanky. Lanky means tall and slim. Antonio was fair, lean and lanky, and he had straight hair falling over his forehead. Whereas Felix was short, dark and husky, and he had black curly hair that he kept in a natural afro style. So this way they both were poles apart. They were entirely different in their appearance. Now take the third question here. What was their dream? What dream they shared? What dream they both pursued in life? What dream they cherished in life? They both had only one dream in life. That was to become a lightweight champion in the world. Their dream was to become the lightweight boxing champion in the world. What is lightweight? Lightweight boxing. So there are different categories in boxing. Boxing competitions are conducted under different categories. At present there are 17 different categories in the Olympics. Originally there were only 8, but now there are 17. I have listed some 8 of them here. These are the 8 categories. The main categories, there are many more. Flyweight, bantamweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and super heavyweight. So they belong to the category lightweight. Lightweight category was meant for boxers weighing between 56 and 60 kilograms. So they were young boys, they were weighing between 56 to 60 kilograms. So they wanted to become the world champion, lightweight champion in boxing. Now take the fourth question. How are they different from the other youngsters in that locality? How these two boys were different? The other youngsters in that locality were into the streets, negative. They got indulged in all sorts of negative activities like crimes, drugs, etc. Whereas these two boys did everything positive. They ate, slept, rapped, and dreamt positive. This is what the author says. They ate, slept, rapped, and dreamt positive. Rapped means performed rap music. That was part of their culture. The black Americans find rap music as a part of their culture. So these two boys also rapped, and they slept, they ate, and dreamt positive. They didn't do anything negative. They always indulged in positive things only. Now take the fifth question. What did the two friends have between them? What did they have between them? What was their only possession? They had a few fight magazines and a scrapbook in which they pasted all those torn tickets of boxing matches they attended, and some of their own clippings. Okay, these were the only things they had. They had a few fight magazines, then a scrapbook in which they pasted all the torn tickets to boxing matches they attended, and they had some clippings of their own. So these were the only possessions they had. Now next question, question number 6. What new development brought about a twist in the life of these two boys? So what was that new development that brought about a twist? Their life was sailing on smoothly, and all on a sudden there was a sudden twist. What new development brought about that twist? So after a series of elimination bouts in the boys' club, they were informed that they had to meet each other in the division finals, and the winner would represent the boys' club in the Golden Gloves Championship. This was the new development that brought about that shift, that twist in their life. They were told they had to meet each other in the division finals, and the winner would go on to represent the boys' club in the Golden Glove Championship. And for them both, it was a very important event because it was a stepping stone to achieving their goal in life. Their goal was to become lightweight boxing champion in the world. So this was a bit difficult for them because boxing is not like other games. In badminton or in tennis, we just play against each other. But in boxing, to win over the opponent, you need to hurt him. You need to punch him on his nose and knock him down, or to hurt him so badly he is not able to retaliate. So boxing is a different game. So for them, it was a bit difficult to fight against each other, especially in a knockout match. What is a knockout match? A knockout or an elimination bout is a bout in which only one could win. One would win and go on to the next stage, whereas the other one would get knocked out of the tournament. So dear children, we have come to the end of this part. Now you are going to read the next part of the story. Once you read that, again we'll be coming back with some questions to have a detailed discussion.
One morning, less than a week before their bout, they met as usual for their daily workout. Antonio glanced at Felix, who kept his eyes purposely straight ahead, pausing from time to time to do some fancy leg work while throwing 1-2s followed by uppercuts to an imaginary jaw. After a mile or so, Felix puffed and said, Let us stop a while, bro. I think we both got something to say to each other. Man, I don't know how to come out with it. Antonio helped. It's about a fight, right? Yeah, right. Felix's eyes squinted at the rising orange sun. I've been thinking about it too. In fact, since we found out it was going to be me and you, I've been awake at night, pulling punches on you, trying not to hurt you. Same here. It isn't natural not to think about the fight. I mean, we both are fighters and we both want to win. But only one of us can win. There are no draws in the eliminations. Felix tapped Antonio gently on the shoulder. I don't mean to sound like I'm bragging, bro, but I want to win, fair and square. Antonio nodded quietly. Yeah, we both know that in the ring the better man wins. It's fair, Tony. When we get into the ring, it's got to be like we never met. We got to be like two heavy strangers that want the same thing, and only one can have it. You understand? I know, Tony smiled. No pulling punches. We go all the way. Yeah, that's right. Listen, Tony, don't you think it's a good idea if we don't see each other until the day of the fight? I'm going to stay with my Aunt Lucy in the Bronx. Tony scratched his nose pensively. Yeah, it would be better for our heads. He held out his hand, palm upward. Deal? Deal. Felix lightly slapped open skin. Ready for some more running? Tony asked lamely. No, bro. Let's cut it here. You go on. I like to get things together in my head. You aren't worried, are you? Tony asked. No way, man. Felix laughed out loud. I just think it's cooler if we split right here. After the fight, we can get it together again, like nothing ever happened. The Amigo brothers were not ashamed to hug each other tightly.
Dear children, in this part of the story, you find how the two boys are getting so much upset as the scheduled bout was nearing. It shows their mental conflict. The conflict was now between their love for boxing on one side and their love for each other on the other. Being professional boxers, they knew that there was no place for sentiments in the boxing ring. And being bosom friends, they couldn't think of hurting each other also. So this conflict was troubling them. So they both kept awake till late night, pulling punches on each other, trying not to hurt the opponent. To pull punches means to hit the opponent with less force. It is not done in professional boxing, but when the bout is between two friends, they tend to do this to avoid hurting the other. So just 1 week before the bout, as they were practicing, Antonio glanced at Felix, but Felix kept his eyes straight ahead to avoid eye contact with his friend. It shows how much trouble they are, how much uncomfortable they are. And it shows a wall is rising between them. A gap is developing between them. So I have given a few questions here. The first question is, why do they decide to stop for a while? As they were running along, they decided to stop for a while. Why did they decide to stop for a while? They decided to stop for a while because they both realized that they had something to talk to each other. They understood that they should sort it out by talking to each other. Now this is my second question. Why does Felix suggest that they should meet each other in the ring like heavy strangers? Why does he give this suggestion? The suggestion that they should meet each other like heavy strangers. Felix gives this suggestion because they are professional boxers and there's no place for sentiments in the boxing ring. And they both have only one goal in life, that is to become a boxing champion. And they should not have allow this friendship to affect their boxing bout, because this boxing bout is so important on their way to achieving their goal in life. So my third question is, what do they finally decide to make sure that their friendship doesn't affect their fight? What do they finally decide to make sure that friendship doesn't affect their fight? Finally, they decide to keep away from each other till the day of the fight. It is Felix who gives the suggestion. He says that he would be living with his Aunt Lucy in the Bronx. And Antonio also agrees. He scratches his nose pensively. Pensively means thoughtfully. And he says it would be good for their heads. To be good for one's head means to be good for one's mind. So they both agree and they fix a deal. What is the deal they fix finally? They fix a deal that they wouldn't meet each other till the day of the fight. And before parting, they hug each other tightly. It shows the warmth of that relationship. So dear children, we have come to the end of it. And we find how they take a very firm decision here. In the next part of the story, you would find whether this decision make any difference, whether this decision does them any good. So please read the next part of the story. Once you do that, we'll be coming back for further discussions.
The evening before the big fight, Tony made his way to the roof of his building. In the quiet early dark, he peered over the ledge. He tried not to think of Felix, feeling he had succeeded in psyching his mind. But only in the ring would he really know. To spare Felix hurt, he would have to knock him out early and quick. Up in the South Bronx, Felix decided to take in a movie in an effort to keep Antonio's face away from his fists. The flick was The Champion, with Kirk Douglas. The champion was getting beaten. Felix felt a shock. He saw himself in the ring, blasting Antonio against the ropes. He walked up some dark streets, deserted except for small pockets of weary-looking kids wearing gang colors. Walking the streets had not relaxed him. Neither had the fight flick. All it had done was to stir him up. He let himself quietly into his Aunt Lucy's apartment and went straight to bed. Antonio was passing some heavy time on his rooftop. How would the fight tomorrow affect his relationship with Felix? After all, fighting was like any other profession. Friendship had nothing to do with it. But a gnawing doubt crept in. He cut negative thinking really quick by doing some speedy fancy dance steps. Felix, his amigo brother, was not going to be Felix at all in the ring. Just an opponent with another face.
Dear children, in this part of the story, you read how Antonio Cruz and Felix Vargas spent the evening before the big fight. Though they had not met each other for almost a week, they were still worried about how to win the bout without hurting the other too much. And how did Antonio spend the evening before the big fight? The first question for you. How did Antonio spend that evening before the big fight? Antonio went to the top of his roof. He went to the rooftop of his building and he peered over the ledge just to drive away the thoughts of his friend from his mind. To peer means to look carefully. He peered over the ledge to drive away the thoughts of his friend. And he thought he could psych his mind. He thought he had succeeded in psyching his mind. To psych one's mind means to get mentally prepared to do something. To get mentally prepared to do something. He thought he could psych his mind, but actually he was still worried. And what did Felix do in the meantime in the Bronx? What did Felix do? Felix went to see a movie. What was that movie? The flick was The Champion, starring Kirk Douglas. So he watched this movie and he saw the champion getting beaten in the movie. And he saw himself in the ring blasting Antonio against the ropes. So instead of giving him some relief, it aroused negative thoughts in his mind. Then he walked along the dark streets. Even this did not help. He was stirred up as he walked along the streets, as he saw those children wearing gang colors. So he went straight to bed. And in the meantime, Antonio was passing some heavy time on the rooftop. And he was worried how to win without hurting his opponent. And he knew boxing is like any other profession, and there is no place for sentiments in the boxing ring. But still, a gnawing doubt crept in his mind. A gnawing doubt. Gnawing means worrying, causing pain. A gnawing doubt crept in his mind. And then he tried to avoid such negative thoughts by doing some dance steps, quick, fancy dance steps. And then he straight away went to bed. But even on the bed, he was thinking about that bout. And he prayed for an easy, quick knockout victory. What is a knockout? Knockout victory. In boxing, you could win the bout in two ways. One is by scoring more points than the opponent. Every time you punch the opponent, the judges would award you points. So that is one way. After the 3 rounds, if you score more points, you are adjudged the winner. The easier way is to knock out the opponent. If you give a very heavy punch to the opponent, he would fall down. And if he is not able to get up, even after the even after the referee counts 1 to 10, he is knocked out of the tournament. And he is declared a loser. And you would win the bout. So he prayed for an easy knockout because he didn't want to hurt his friend too much. This was his prayer, even while he was lying on his bed. Okay, dear friends, we have thus come to the end of this part, and we have had a very long session. Now, I think we should wind it up now. We'll take up the rest of the story in another session. Goodbye.